What is going on, YouTube? Northeast Ohio here for our little weekly update. And it's a big one. There's a lot of stuff going on. A ton of stuff going on in regards to pricing changes, shenanigans, all sorts of stuff. There's some serious shenanigans this week. We're going to get into that in a minute. YouTube nonsense down below. Like, comment, sub, all that jazz. We should be at 3K by the time this posts. So thank you all, everybody, for 3K. And let's get into it. We will once again be living in market movers for the entirety of this video. Links to that are down below. That is what I use for all these wonderful charts, graphs, percentages, and all that other stuff. And there's a coupon code down there. StarStock still doing 10, 10, and 10 thing. Promo code for that is down below. But I'm going to blast on StarStock this first full week of the NBA season. I'm not going to lie. Probably do an update video on that at some point in time. So let's get into it because we have a ton of stuff I want to talk about. First up, very briefly, before we move on into primarily basketball, 95% of this will be basketball, with 2.5% being baseball, which we will touch on shortly. I had a commenter had mentioned this, and I had noticed it too, because I have a couple of these Sotos, and I saw it going up in the My Collection tool on Market Movers. The higher end baseball guys, the two most trendiest, basically, Tatis and Soto. This is the price movement by card chart. And let me do the zoom before people yell at me in the comments. Soto and Tatis Jr. are basically the two trendiest guys, in my opinion, for this coming MLB season, and their prices are starting to pick up. We are just barely into January, but I can see the MLB prices beginning to heat up. And honestly, you've probably already missed the early boat I mentioned last week, or maybe the week before, to at least consider baseball if that's your bag. I will briefly touch on it on the channel here from time to time, but it is definitely not my primary focus. We will see what happens when the season rolls around, but I dabble in baseball. My primary is basketball. However, Tatis Jr.'s Topps PSA 10, Soto's Topps Update, Tatis Jr.'s Chrome, and Soto's Chrome. Basically, the four primary cards for these two gentlemen are all up anywhere from 10 to 30%. The interesting thing here are the Chromes outpacing the paper, which is not the normal for baseball. Typically, baseball, the paper products lead the charge. And in some older cards, that is still the case. But however, for these two, I noticed that Soto last baseball season jumped the paper, and there has basically been no looking back for those two. I expect these two cards to continue to go up, or these two players' cards to continue to go up. They're probably the two hottest names in baseball. I'm sure at some point in time, Acuna Jr. will follow, because he's usually the other one. He's up. He has about 17 different rookies. This is why I hate baseball. He's up a few percentage points, but I could see that changing sometime soon. Let's move into the next one. And this is the other 2.5% of this video that is not basketball. And this is definitely some serious shenanigans here. We never talk golf on the channel, but this Tiger Woods Upper Deck PSA 10 and 9 rookie. This is the most classic pump and dump I have ever seen. Textbook case of the pumping and the dumping. Now, he has the documentary coming out soon, so it was getting a little buzz from that. But word on the hashtag hobby streets there are multiple people drastically pumping this card on all their content. This card will not hold this price forever. The PSA 10 of this was in the $300. It slowly started to creep up, and then it's just been pumped to high hell. When you see stuff like this, especially on a golf card out of the blue, yes, sure, the documentary's coming. I get it. But these are not low pop. There's 9,000 of these things. That's like not quite modern basketball territory, but it's damn close. If you have either one of these two, I would be looking to sell as fast as humanly possible. I don't personally own one, so I cannot walk out on that limb with you. This is just my 2 cents. If I owned this card, I would be selling. This thing has been $300 forever. And now all of a sudden, it is $1,200. I will gladly take the risk that this thing keeps going up and sell at anything over $1,000 and probably be able to rebuy them back in a couple months when they come back down. So I'll try to keep an eye on this one over the next couple weeks, but this just reeks of a classic pump and dump. So be careful out there. All right, let's get into hoops because we have a billion things to talk about. And first up, the most important backcourt player in the NBA that has recently been in the news. And no, it is not Ja Morant. It's Sexland, people. We'll do John next. We're going to hit Sexland really quick first because we're Northeast Ohio Sports Cards here, and Sexland's sweeping the nation. Full disclosure, I'm not big on Colin Sexton. I'm still not big on Colin Sexton. I prefer Garland from a long-term hold perspective. I will go to the grave on this one. I will die on this hill that Colin Sexton is Lou Williams 2.0, and that is a perfectly fine NBA player. But I do not want to invest in him for long-term value. I've been saying this for months. I will continue to say it. I am not backtracking yet. Garland to me seems like the actual better player. Sexton just scores more. They are both very good. Well, very good might be a stretch, but for Cavs players, they are very good. And I did a 14-day charts on these two. Sexton peaked up over the last 7 days. Sexton's actually flat to down a little bit. Or I'm sorry, Garland is actually flat to down a little bit. Sexton's up quite a bit, but over the 14-day, they're both up. Sexton base prism PSA 10 up 130%. Started the 2-week period off at $130, ended at $300. Garland started off at 91, ended at 172, and I've been talking about Garland PSA 10s for a while. They always are on my list of undervalued players leading into this season because he was just too cheap and it was worth the risk. I had a bunch of Garland on Star Stock, sold a little too early. I have some Garland I am sending out for grading, and I've actually already flipped a couple PSA 9s of some variations that I bought for super cheap in October for about 3x profits. So Sexland is our leader in the clubhouse on the NBA side of things. Up next, let's talk Ja. All right, so Jaws, I did not go back a full 7 days. I went back to 12. Actually, I did go back a full 7 days. I lied. So this is going back to last Sunday, and about what I thought was going to happen has happened. He's basically down about 10 to 15%, depending on the card that you're looking at. Some stuff has swung more than others. His base prism, the average sale is 700, down 10%. You could actually get these for 650 if you try hard enough. They are out there, especially off eBay. You could definitely find them for 650. I'm going to guess that these are going to keep going down. I do not feel like these have hit the bottom yet, but I don't think a drastic slide is coming. If I had to guess, I'm going to say you might be able to get a Sexton base prism. I'm sorry, Sexton. The Ja Morant base prism for, I'm going to say maybe off eBay, it'll get down to $600. Like you'll be able to find one on a Facebook group or a Discord or IG or whatever, maybe for 600. The more interesting thing is the price changes on some of his other stuff. The select and optic have not come down a ton, just a few percentage points here and there, but the sales counts on those are a lot lower. 124 prisms have sold, only 55 optic bases have sold, and only 14 concourses have sold, and only one premiere. I actually have my eye on a couple premiere auctions. If I could get one for cheap, I wouldn't mind snagging one of these jaw premieres. I do not have any jaw select PSA 10s, and the pop count on these are extremely low at 427. His silvers, his higher end, which we have the hollow optic and the silver PSA 10, have actually come down a lot more. Now, the sales numbers are a lot lower. Optic hollow, only 2 have sold this week because most people that have this higher end stuff are going to hold it. One, they're low pop to begin with, but 2, if you put a ton of money in this card, you're probably in it for the long term. Usually this higher end stuff isn't so much quick flips like the base cards. However, the 2 that have sold are down 25%. This was a 2K card, it is now down to 1,500. I'll be very curious to see how low these get. There are no buy it nows currently this low. You might be able to get an offer accepted for it, or maybe an off eBay deal. If the optic hollow specifically falls a lot lower, I would definitely be intrigued and jump in. I don't know if it's going to get to that point. And then the prism is down 15% as well. It started the week at 6K and is down to 5K. And that's over 3 sales. Once again, these low sale counts really swing things. So I'm not putting a ton of stock into this yet. I will be very curious to see where this sits next week. By the time we get to next Sunday, it'll be almost 2 weeks, not quite. So we should start to get some news about how he's looking. The initial prognosis was 3 to 5 weeks. I don't see them rushing him back, especially if they continue to lose. The other interesting thing is I'm beginning to try to get news on when Triple J is supposed to come back, Jaren Jackson Jr. Because that could be an interesting boost to that team if they could just tread water in regards to a playoff spot while Jaw's out. So that's the big Jaw market update. I continue to think that this stuff's going to slide a little bit more. And maybe by like the end of next week will be a good time to maybe hop in. Like I said, I don't like trying to get cute and time the market on this stuff because odds are it's just going to burn you. And to be honest, if Jaw comes back and he has a big game in the first week back, in my opinion, these prices are going to shoot right back up again. I could be wrong. There's some interesting things going on in the basketball market right now, which we'll touch on. But, I just don't see this getting much below 650 on eBay and 600 off eBay. But I could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time, that's for sure. Next up, probably one of the front runners for the MVP candidate, the Joker. We don't talk about big man very much on this show, but Joker looks legit this year. He's almost averaging a triple-double if he's not averaging a triple-double. He's been absolutely insane. Over the last 7 days, he's up 43%. He's over $1,000 now. There's only 500 of these PSA 10s of his rookie prism on the pop report. So they are very low on the old pop. I don't see this card stopping. I don't think it's going to go crazy like $2,000 or anything, but it could by the end of the season if he stays the front runner for the MVP. If I had to bet right now, the front runners are him and AD, most likely. But that could shift. Right now, I think if the season ended today, a week and a half in, small sample size, I think it would be the Joker. He has looked absolutely fantastic. Not making the list this week. MPJ's in COVID protocol, so he's going to miss about 2 or 3 games, but he's looked really good in his first few games this season as well. Next, another one that's probably an MVP candidate that I forgot to mention on the last slide because I forgot, KD. The Nets look fantastic. KD looks fantastic. His Topps Chrome PSA 10, this bad boy right here, is up 10% on the week. Not a huge jump, but it did blow past the 6K milestone. Started the week off at 5,500, ends the week at over 6,000, and actually had a few sales spike all the way up to 6,500. And there's only 900 of these things. Not a lot. A lot of people go for the factory set cards that have a little bit different picture of him just standing there. The Topps Chrome 2007 is his creme de la creme when it comes to rookie cards outside of like refractors and stuff. Next on the list, told you we got a lot of them today. It's just the early NBA season, a lot of swings. I did a 2-week chart on Mr. RJ Barrett. Um, I was big on selling RJ Barrett right before the season started. I missed the window a little bit. The time to sell him was right after the first game. I am not a believer in RJ Barrett. I do not think he is very good. I think he's going to be a perfectly adequate NBA player, but I do not think he justifies his prices in the market currently. It's popped up by Hope and the Knicks. The fact that he plays for a New York team, I've just never seen anything good out of him. He can't shoot. He got hot for one game. It was the first game of the season. His prices went crazy. I made a bunch of money off Star Stock off of it. And I sold a lot of base rookie cards I had of his and some other stuff slightly too soon. But I am basically out of RJ Barrett. I don't know that I own an RJ Barrett card except for a couple that I have sitting at PSA. And those are just base prisms. So RJ Barrett over the 14-day period is up 20%. Started at 180, got all the way up to 226, but you could see he peaked at almost $300 for his PSA 10. And then he turned into a pumpkin and he has gone back down and has flattened out. Now he flattened out up 20%, which is nice, but he has not looked good since that opening night game. He's had some just dreadful shooting nights. And that Knicks team is just not that great. Julius Randle's their best player. That pretty much tells you all you need to know. Next, Rui, back from pink eye earlier than I thought, and his prices spiked due to him returning. Basically, I feel like you can almost quick flip all these injured guys. Like, this goes back to my Ja Morant point. Rui goes up 37% on the week on the news of him just returning. Rui's not even that good. I mean, he's okay. He's got some good speculation, but he's not Ja Morant. I feel like you could just target these injured guys and then sell them on the news of them coming back and then just get out of it. Especially like on Star Stock, prices are so inflated. It's weird. And in real life, it gets a little tricky because of shipping and, fees and all that stuff. But, I think there's money to be made buying these dips on these injuries for sure. I mean, that's base level thinking, duh. But like, I'm not a huge believer in Rui. If he has a couple of good games, I would probably look to get out of him. That's just me personally. I don't have a ton of his stuff. I don't have anything graded, but yeah, he's up 40% on the week already. And he did look good in his first game back, but he was on a minutes limit and he was hot. The second game, not so much. So we'll see what he does, but just literally the news of him returning and a pretty decent 25-minute outing his first game back has jumped his prices 30%. That's how crazy this market is. Let's get into the interesting stuff. So, we have one more trendy one to get into. Then we get into some interesting things I see going on. Keldon Johnson, probably the biggest winner of the week. He has a ton of hype in the hobby. He's one of those guys that everybody likes, myself included. I like KJ. When I like a player, when I pull all their stuff out and I have a different box that I put that stuff in for like the players that I want easy access to be able to get to their stuff if something crazy happens. And Keldon has made that box. He made it before the season started. And I have a pile of higher end stuff to sort through for grading for him. But he looks legit. He played fantastic the other night against the Lakers. Everybody seems to love him on that team. He looks the part as the next Spurs guy. I don't know if he's going to be Kawhi Leonard or anything crazy like that, but he looks like a legit NBA player, potentially. I don't want to say a star player, but he's heading in the right direction. His base prism, which is low pop because who was grading these except for a few people, is up 86%. Started the week off at 100, ends it at 190. His silver also up 30%. Started the week off at 388, ends the week at 500, and I consider these to keep going up, or I see these keep going up. He is a young, trendy player. I bought some of his stuff on Star Stock that I'm sitting on for the time being, but he looks the part. If you have KJ stuff, go dig it out of your box, and you might want to PSA it if you have higher end stuff. I think he is there to stay. I do not view KJ as, when I say quick flip, I mean sell due to the spike because of his couple good games. I'm going to hold him throughout the season and see what happens. Next, and the last two that we're going to talk about today, that's Zion and Luka. So I'm not like sending the panic alarm up or anything, but both Zion and Luka are going down the last week. I don't think it's an indictment on the general health of the NBA market because we see plenty of prices still going crazy, but neither guy's like playing. They're not playing bad, but they're not eye popping. So like Zion has been perfectly fine. I don't have his numbers in front of me. I don't want to waste time pulling them up. Zion's just been fine. He has not had like a huge 30, 40 point game or anything. He's had a bunch of double doubles, and he's looked perfectly adequate. You know, he just hasn't had that big blow up game yet. And like Ja did, Ja came out first night of the season, drops 44. Everyone goes crazy. Zion just hasn't done that yet. And he looks better than he did in the bubble, but he doesn't look like he did when he came out of the gates when he first came back from the first injury last winter, which set the market ablaze. So his two primary base cards, the Optic and the Prism, are both down 10 and 20% on the week. Zion base Prism got almost to 1,000. In fact, I think it actually got over 1,000 for a hot minute. But it is all the way down to 855 again. And his Optic, which was at 361, is down to 297. So this just goes to show you that all cards just don't go up forever. And the players do need to play well. And like I said, Zion's been fine, but he just hasn't been show-stopping. Now, all this being said, if he comes out and drops 45 and 15 on somebody, it's going to go to the moon. But I just found this interesting. And then to back that up, my boy Luka over the last 7 days is also down 10%, both on his base Prism and his base Optic. And this is kind of the same situation. Luka's been fine. He had a pretty good game in his last game, but prior to that, he's had some real, I mean, when I say duds, I'm talking like duds for Luka. They're still really good games, but they're Luka duds. And the Mavs have looked a little iffy. And I think people are starting to realize that without Porzingis, and they really need another player, that they're probably not going deep in the playoffs this year. And I'm fine with all this because I view Luka as an ultra long-term hold. And he's going to have ups and downs. And I think what happened was he came in the camp drastically out of shape. He looked like shit. Basically like the Pillsbury Doughboy, a thin version of the Pillsbury Doughboy. The first few games of the season, and Carlisle even called him out on it. He wouldn't comment directly on his conditioning, but every beat reporter seems to be saying his conditioning sucks right now. So I think he's going to play his way into shape. Hopefully Zinger comes back and then they can get rolling. And once again, all it's going to take is a week of Luka triple doubles and his prices are going to spike back up again. I'm not like overly concerned, but this just goes to show you that the players do have to play well for the cards to continue to go up. I know that sounds crazy. Like that should be the most duh thing ever, but you'd be surprised how many people in this hashtag hobby or slash tag or hashtag investors or whatever we all want to call ourselves, just think cards go up forever. That is not the case. The players do have to back it up with on-court performance. Now, I am not going to go out there and panic sell on Luka, or I'm not a big believer in Zion to begin with, so that's neither here nor there. But like Luka, for example, I am not freaking out about this, and I'm not freaking out about the overall health of the NBA market when Rui Hachimura goes up 30% in 3 days because he's back from pink eye and played 20 minutes. So I believe the market is still completely healthy as prices continue to go crazy on the guys playing well. But this just shows you that things can go down. So we'll keep a close eye on these guys as we move throughout the season on the following weeks. But that's all I have for you guys today. Sorry for the probably longer than normal episode, but there's just a ton of stuff going on this week. So no idea what the next video is going to be. I have a very busy week at work ahead of me, but I will still try to crank out as much content as I possibly can as nonsense happens in the wonderful world of sports cards. YouTube nonsense down below. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.